Good evening again, bowlers and students. This is Coach Logan Revere coming at you again with our next episode, which is going to be talking about the importance of the mental game side of the sport and how developing a specific pre-shot routine prior to even throwing a ball and following this lovely acronym we have called PACER will help you get the best mental focus before executing each shot. So let's go ahead and start right now. A lot of people fail to realize how important the mental side of the sport is when it comes to executing a good shot. And I like to use an acronym for this that's called PACER. PACER is spelled by a P-A-C-E-R, PACER, as shown in the demographic above. Going into each of the letters, the very first P is going to stand for preparation or prepare. The preparation stage is going to be completed while waiting in your chair, whether it be in between turns or just before you're getting ready to bowl. This is your time to reflect on things that have happened and begin to make an idea of what you're going to do on your next shot. The next letter, A, is going to stand for acknowledgment or acknowledge, which will also occur at your chair immediately before you get up. This letter is basically your moment to prove to yourself that you have properly prepared and acknowledged that and are being ready to then go into the next letter, which I'll explain here shortly. The C in PACER is going to stand for commitment or commit. This occurs as you're getting up to your chair. You should never at any point during the commitment phase have your ball in your hand, because before you put your ball in your hand, you should have already committed to the idea you have in your head, whether it be a spare or a strike shot. The E in PACER is going to stand for execution or execute. The name is kind of as implies, where this is the moment when you actually take your shot. Perhaps the most mentally controllable and mental focus stage that you can have control of as a bowler is the R, which is the reflection or reaction you have to your throw. This occurs, obviously, immediately following the throw, and you as a bowler have 100% full control over this one, mostly in comparison to the other letters as shown. The beautiful thing about this PACER acronym is that after you complete the R phase, you then circle back to the preparation phase yet again and complete this exact same process before every shot, whether it be a strike shot, a spare shot, or whatever the case may be. This promotes a lot more consistency in both you as a bowler and keeps you mentally focused and allows you to block out the things around you. When looking at the PACER acronym, the most common points of friction are going to be in the C, E, and R, the commitment, execution, and reaction phase. When looking at the commitment phase, the most common one that most people fall victim to when they're bowling is they fail to commit. Whether we like it or not, especially on big adjustments, you have to be able to commit to the things that you prepared and acknowledge while in your seat, right? If you go up there and don't commit to the idea you had or are not confident in your commitment, that's going to directly halter your execution and make you react more poorly. So, be willing to commit and be willing to do it prior to grabbing your bowling ball. The second common error is going to be in the execution phase. And whether we like it or not, when it comes to bowling and stuff, a lot of this is going to come from, experience. For some of you, you may not have been bowling as long as those around you. And, you're not going to be as consistent yet, and that's okay. Just give it time. Third is going to be your reaction. As I was saying when we were just discussing PACER, the reaction/reflection phase is going to be the one that you can have control of the most mentally, meaning you can control if it's a negative reaction or a positive reaction. Don't allow yourself to be getting in your own head by producing only and strictly negative reactions. You also need to be willing to allow yourself to go back to the P phase, the preparation phase. The overall most common issue is when you fall victim to what we like to call the ER, which is where your reaction is so negative that you are not properly preparing, acknowledging, and committing, and just going up and executing again. As you can see what I'm writing here, I'm trying to demonstrate that you have to go back to the preparation phase, whether you like it or not. If you fail to do so and just fall victim to this ER phase where you're just executing and reacting and not properly making an adjustment by preparing, not acknowledging that adjustment, and committing to it, well, you're never going to create a good shot ever. So it's important that you're able to recollect yourself and get yourself to go back into that P phase and rinse and repeat this process so we can actually properly do it. As you can see, sad is bad. Sad is bad. It's okay to be upset, but you need to allow yourself to get back into that P phase of the PACER, as I'm trying to make very, very clear here in my drawings. So let's go ahead and take a look at some more critical examples and how we can do this in the lane. By developing a pre-shot routine that works for you, you're going to see 3 key elements that will help boost your game. For the first one, this is going to very, very drastically promote a lot more consistency in your executing. Whether you realize it or not, by developing a pre-shot routine, this makes it even easier for you to stay more mentally focused as you're getting ready to throw, which in turn will ensure you are fully focused on your execution portion. For the second one, this is going to allow you to directly control the pace of which you're bowling. Some of you like to bowl really slow or like to bowl really fast, and all of you have a different method that works for you. By developing a slow or fast pre-shot routine, this allows you to directly control that pace by changing the speed of which you do things, of which will make it a lot more easy for you to feel the flow of the game. Last, but certainly not least, this almost directly promotes you having an easier time of executing this PACER acronym that we have been discussing. This allows you to properly commit during your pre-shot routine at the ball return, making it easier and more effective during your commitment phase. Also, given that we know it's promoting consistency and controlling your pace, this helps you execute better and generally leads to a much better reaction/reflection immediately following the shot. So, as we continue to do this, I think it's important that we actually start to look at some on-lane examples of a pre-shot routine and myself and my friend Rob following this PACER acronym. So, here momentarily, I'm going to display a practice session of myself and Rob throwing, and I'll put some demographics over it to show us executing PACER and a pre-shot routine. The following footage is going to show me and Rob's practice session, where you'll see me and him and our different forms of a pre-shot routine and how we like to execute this PACER acronym. If we notice, this is me beginning my pre-shot routine. For me, I'll spin my ball about 3 to 5 times, drive my left hand over the ball return, drive my right hand, wipe my right hand on my thigh, line up, swing the ball back at me, and execute my shot. And if we notice this, I'll complete this each and every time. During that moment, that's my time to reflect and make my way back to begin my preparation phase. During this time, Rob was completing the P, E, and C phase and beginning to execute, so let's watch and see his reflection. Rob isn't nearly as animated as me, as we can see by his reflection, but you can tell he's certainly thinking about what he saw in that shot and beginning to prepare now. As we can see, while Rob is waiting for his ball, he's looking out on the horizon, making his adjustments, nodding his head, speaking to me about his adjustments, getting his bowling ball, walking up to the approach, doing his very, very short and small pre-shot routine, which is clearly faster than mine given how he likes to bowl faster, and execute his next shot. Clearly looking better than the last. We can also notice his reaction he had on that one as well, seeming to have liked it. During this time, I've made my adjustments and am now getting ready to throw. So let's see if this strikes looks a little clearer than the last one. Clearly I liked that one, which we can see by my reaction and how I reflect. Still thinking about it and beginning to talk, I make my way back to my seat to begin the preparation phase again. Since Rob likes to use me for adjustments, we can actually hear me begin to say some things about what I think.
Oh boy.
Hear me say, oh boy, and see the result? You'll even see him begin to talk to me again about what he thinks may have went wrong there and what I may have noticed that he didn't notice, helping aid in his reflection process and begin to prepare better on his next shot. This is also a great way of preventing yourself from falling into that ER trap. Oftentimes, we fall into that ER trap when we don't quite understand what's going on, which Rob seemed to have been confused on that, which is why he asked me for my two-say, helping keep him focused and execute his spare in this case. To be honest, I have no idea what I'm talking about here, but clearly it must be helping him, so. This is an excellent moment during this practice session where you can see me executing PACER. So let's see how I execute here and how I choose to reflect. I mean, that was great. So right there, you could see every single phase of the PACER acronym and see me execute, gather good information, and now I'm beginning to rinse and repeat the process yet again. So by following this and by seeing this in live time, this should help you make sense of it. So let's try to focus on developing this skill in your game so that way you can help better your mental agility. In this last clip, I just showcased my pre-shot routine. All of you should not copy my exact pre-shot routine. However, something similar to this, or something in this retrospect, will be good for you. Now that you have a good understanding of the PACER acronym, now that you have something to work on in developing your own pre-shot routine, you should see a lot more consistency and see yourself being a lot more mentally focused in your games moving forward. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments below. I'll see you all in the next episode. Take care.